It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Welcome in. It's Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles. Alex White is alongside. We are thrilled to be with you because, Alex White, it is the first opening Sunday of the National Football League season.
Very excited. It's going to be a great day. We've got a lot of good matchups, some small spreads, so that'll tell you right there. We're going to have some very interesting and exciting games.
There is only one game north of a touchdown this week in the National Football League. Compact. With us on the desk at the top of the show here today. We saw him yesterday at the end of the show, so technically back-to-back segments for our guy on the end. Well-dressed, hair's perfect, Vinny Magliulo.
I've just stayed here the whole time.
Oh, you haven't left?
Since the end of the show, I just changed my jacket. They just draped this one over me.
Good
morning.
It is awesome to see you.
Yes, well, it's good to be with both of you. As you can see behind us, quite busy. The lines at every window, two down the center. Every window open, all the dozen windows, and
people love this football thing.
Oh, I think so. I think it's going to catch on.
Yeah,
the sports betting thing. Extra windows in the race book. 11 kiosks throughout the race and sports book area. And by the way, the jackpot parlay card.
Okay,
we mentioned it on Friday. Jimmy Vaccaro, Chris Andrews, and myself. 38,000. That's 25,000 was guaranteed. So what Michael Gahn does is anything above it gets, first of all, 25 was guaranteed. Anything above it goes to the jackpot. Still playing them, $5 each.
You can do as many as you want.
And as many as you want. No spreads. It's every game today. And the Jets-Niners game tomorrow, there is one total on it, which is tomorrow's game because we want to have 15. Obviously, the Friday game with the Eagles and Packers was played. So, and we use today's game and tomorrow to give people the entire weekend to bet. So that card is going strong, and it should set a record as we get closer to 40,000. Most wins, and if there are multiple winners after tomorrow, then folks will split it. I think Jimmy mentioned last year we had a couple of people split over 17,000 a piece.
I mean, even a four-way split. 10 grand, just about 10 grand is a nice day at the office, Vinny.
Also, Chris puts up the team to score first in the 10 o'clock games. Yes. By the way, that's also by time of game.
What, you're telling me it's not time of day, Vinny?
Please don't. Don't do it.
Time of game. Time of game, everybody.
The reason I bring that up is because yesterday we were on, and Bowling Green at 75-1. There was about $50 on Bowling Green.
That was it?
That was all. But still, it's a nice little.
That's a nice pop.
Right? Was that you?
Was
that you, Alex?
It wasn't Wishnev either. I know that.
Penn State has a great defense. I would have never guessed that one.
They cashed at 75-1, and of course, a team with the most points scored today is also available. So lots of props and lots of action. I was just sitting with Chris and Jimmy in the back, and Chris gave a rundown of what's happening. So whenever you start with the game you like, Jeffrey.
Oh well, real quick, I'll say this, Vinny. In the chat, if you're watching us, welcome. Thank you for watching us. Mr. Irrigation, who hopefully be irrigating some wins this year. Looking forward to hearing a lot of Stroud to Dell this year for the Texans. And Vinny, as you know, and this is the great thing about these football weekends, everybody has an opinion.
Oh, no question.
And just looking at it was jammed in here yesterday.
Yeah.
We are 1 hour from kick, and it is already completely jammed. And you, like you said, have all these windows available for everyone to go.
And listen, the sports book is the ultimate opportunity to put your money where your mouth is, right? And people do it. They back their opinions with their cash, which is great, and we respect that. And it's great too because we have such a nice mix here of both visitors from out of town. We've got a great locals following because especially positioned nicely here on Las Vegas Boulevard, right? With folks from the west side of 15 in Las Vegas, and then the east side of the Boulevard in Henderson. So a lot of locals as well, and casual bettors and professionals. So it's a really nice mix, and something that the Gaunt family's very proud of.
And as Vinny said, the lines go very quickly. Plenty of windows and a lot of
these
chaos,
writers are great.
Yes.
They do a great job, and I want to give them a shout out. The supervisors, everybody. It's a terrific team here. Speaking of teams, you mentioned the Texans, Jeff. That game opened too. Now let's remember this too, right? Just a reminder that these games have been open for several months now. Week 1, we put them up during the summer because those folks that didn't have the opportunity to be here this opening week, and they came from out of town to wager on these games. And then there were professionals that said, listen, I'm going to do some early handicapping and made some plays too. So the Texans opened 2, got as high as 3. Now we've got a toggler here. It's they're laying a 2.5 and taking a 3 with the Colts. So that game's gone back and forth. So overall, 2-way action for our producer Ann. Where is Ann? She's watching, I'm sure, and she just got a smile on her face.
For what it's worth, that is actually one of the games I did bet today. So
did you? Who did you take?
Oh, you're gonna have to keep listening to the show in order to do that.
I'm going to speculate that
Texans?
you took the 3.
You're going to speculate that I took the 3? I will tell you I took a team that has the color blue as the predominant color. So good luck figuring that one out.
Texans are 10-1 to score first. I don't hate those odds at all.
Who's the long shot for the first team to score first? Because as you mentioned, Vinny, there's no such thing as a 75-1 in these NFL games.
The Patriots 35-1.
That's a great look. It's the National Football League.
Yeah.
Unless if you're dealing with the last few years of the New York Jets offense, Vinny, anything is in play for this first touchdown. I mean,
why not?
Maybe Bryce Young really improved, and Carolina motors right down the field in the opening drive against New Orleans.
The second choice at 22.
Yeah.
So. But the Patriots, listen, you bring it up. You just don't know if you put a $20 bill on them. Maybe they get the opening kickoff, right? Bengals win the toss, they defer, and the Patriots run it back, or they get a big return and then get in. You never know, especially with the new kickoff rule.
Vinny, you mentioned that Colts Texans game. I just want to bring up real quick because Russell Wilson's not even making the week 1 start for Pittsburgh now.
Yeah,
he's officially out with that hamstring. So bring in Justin Fields right away. And boy, Frank brought this bet up a few times on Punchlines. What a beat if you had Russell Wilson to take the first snap for the Steelers. You're a loser because of injury. More so, not the fact that he didn't win the job. But the bettors have pushed this to 4 now on this game.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of an adjustment as well, too. And I think the bettors, the perception is that Russell Wilson being the veteran compared to the much younger Field. But I don't know. I tell you what, I think Fields may be better. They may be better off with that offense. We're gonna find out today. But that's a good game. The Falcons, obviously, a lot of hype with the Falcons this year. They're the favorite for that division. They've made some changes, not only on the coaching staff but in terms of personnel as well. So the game did open 3 a few months back, and then Chris went to 4 this morning with the. Now we knew that Russell Wilson was questionable with the calf, but now the official announcement came out. So 4. And 41 now on that total, which off the opener of 43.
Vinny, as always, you mentioned this on Friday. Of course, everything goes through these primetime games, these premium 125 Pacific games. Of course, today you have the brand of all brands with Dak Prescott, by the way, signing his contract finally this morning.
What's $241 million, $231 guaranteed?
Yeah, you know what? I think I would take that. I'd be very happy with that amount of money.
Why not?
Those are millions of dollars, not just grocery dollars.
Good for him.
But again, Dallas and Cleveland, it's actually back to 2. It's actually come back from the 2.5.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Detroit and the Rams end our first Sunday of the year with Detroit, a 4.5-point favorite late here, Vinny.
Yeah, this one did initially open 4 in the summer. Initial money came in on the Rams, but then 4 earlier this week at the beginning of the week, and now 4.5 this morning. I think there's going to be a lot of support here for both of these teams. It's going to be a terrific bet game. And again, what happens with that game especially, right? There's so much carryover to it from all day. And again, let's remember that it started on Thursday night with the Ravens-Chiefs game, and then the Packers and Eagles on Friday. 2 really exciting games, right? They came down to the end in both cases. They were bet very heavily. But and again, this is the game that I always refer to as the G game, right? The Rams and the Lions, and the G stands for if you had a great day, then it's the gravy game. If you had a subpar day, then it's the get out game. Everybody will get involved with this game, but there's always carryover going to it. This game and then tomorrow night's game between the Jets and the 49ers, not surprisingly, have the most carryover going to them, and everybody gets involved with those two games.
Two really good matchups.
And two matchups, yeah. Good point, Alex. Yeah. Mm-hmm. By the way, Jets, Niners are back to 4. They did get as low as 3.5, but interest on both teams tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night it'll be very interesting to see how that moves. That total's also been banged down as well, Vinny.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see where that closes. Of course, you opened 6 in this game. And,
a few months ago.
In all honesty, I think this 4 pocket is about where it should be anyway.
There's some the Niners look like they've got their folks signed now. You figure Williams to probably play the majority or a significant portion of the snaps. I don't know. They mentioned Ayuk may not, but listen, they're so deep and versatile. And then Becton is, I think he's holding out for the Jets, which is not going to.
Reddick.
I mean Reddick.
Hassan Reddick.
Reddick is not going to play.
As I expected.
But why not? I mean, it's only the first week. Let's have a holdout.
Vinny, we'll break this down later in the show. We'll also break this down at length tomorrow. 2 Sports by the Book shows tomorrow, by the way. 9 a.m. Alex and Kenny are here, and then I'm here at 3 on Football Frenzy. Vinny, I think these are the 2 most talented rosters in the NFL. If you took away the Jets logo away from the Jets, you'd look at this roster and say, wow, this is an incredibly built roster. But because it's the Jets, some people are willing to detract because of what the brand is. And the Niners have been arguably the most talented team in the NFL for 4 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, listen, and the Jets, no excuses now. This coaching staff is going to be on the clock, literally. And, of course, Rodgers. I have to see Rodgers. Listen, the last 3 years, the first game of the season, I mean, obviously, we know what happened last year, but the 2 previous years in Green Bay were not particularly good starts for him. No. So we'll have to see. But I know we'll talk more about that game tomorrow. I want to kind of give an idea to the folks that are watching and listening to what's the rest of these games. The Dolphins hosting the Jaguars here, open 3.5, and this one is an absolute toggler between 3 and 3.5. So laying the 3 with the Dolphins. We were at 3.5. Of course, Tyreek Hill had
he got detained by police today on the way into the stadium.
Apparently, he was in a hurry to get to the stadium. So
he will play though.
But he's going to play. So back to 3.5 on that game. 49. That I don't think anybody's surprised at that. So 49.5, I should say. It's climbing up. No real surprise there with that total. We talked about the Falcons as 4-point favorites. Giants, Vikings. Not. You know what? It doesn't look like a particularly exciting game, but it's still week 1, and folks are going to get involved with it. This one opened with the Giants as 1-point favorites. Vikings 1-point favorites right now, but starting to see some giant money there. Panthers and Saints. This game opened with the Saints. Some pretty respected opinions on Carolina here. This is a game that opened 5, and now down to 3.5. Total ticking up from 40 to 41.5 right now. The Bengals, this is the biggest number on the board. Receiver question marks, obviously, for the Bengals, but I think there's a lot more question marks for the Patriots going into this new season. So this game sits at 8, was at 9, got as low as 7.5. Now sits at 8. Total starting to tick up here, 42.5, down to 40.5 now, up to 41. No real surprise. Public loves to root for points and likes to, I always say this too, right? You see the fans in the stands, right? Let's say it's a husband and wife couple or a couple of guys, right? One's got the big D, and then the other has the picket fence, right? The white picket fence. They want defense and they chant it. They don't mean it. They love the overs. So, You know what? And good for him. And fantasy football contributes to that too, right?
Everyone's favorite, right?
Right. So that's definitely a factor there. Bears open 4.5, got as high as 5 very early on, and now we got as low as 3.5 yesterday, and then this morning, Bear money has shown they are a 4-point favorite, and the total there down to 43.5. This one's gone back and forth, as high as 45.5, and now 43.5. So good two-way overall there. Bills, this one, 7 got as low as 6, and is now. We did get up to 7 last night, early this morning here at South Point. Again, 24-hour action, 24-hour book. They did take the 7 with the Cardinals, and that game sits at 6.5. This total has come down from 47 yesterday to now 45.5. So some pretty respected opinions on both the dog side at 7 and the under in that game. Texans and Colts, we talked about the toggler going back and forth between 2.5 and 3 with the road favorite. One of the higher totals at 48.5. Raiders Chargers took some pretty respected opinions. Took the Raiders plus the 3.5. Not a real surprise. Division game, week 1. So now down to 3. And again, if you need, Chris thinks we need to go back to 3.5. He's not going to move the money on 3. It'll go back to 3.5 there, and that total has gone back up. I remember it was lows. It was kind of like a 1970s and 80s total at 39.5. It's up to 40.5, and no real surprise there that total's gone up. Buccaneers, Commanders, 3.5. Another one. And Alex, you hit on this. These numbers are very close, and lots of threes in this first week, and we've seen that in the last couple of years where there's not these huge favorites out there. I mean, we don't have a double-digit favorite in this first week, and we've seen that trend in recent years. So, as Pete Rozelle used to say, he loves the parity of the league. Seahawks. 6 here, pretty one-sided so far on this one here, with the Seahawks receiving the support. I think that's going to continue, and again, being an afternoon game, so lots of carryover going to it. So 6 and now 42 total ticking up as well. The Brownies. This game. This is interesting too, right? And you mentioned Dak Prescott. Now it looks like everybody is signed for the Cowboys. Cowboys opened as a 1-point favorite last summer here at the South Point when these numbers went up. They got as high as 2.5, and now the game's come back down to 2. So I think there's going to be support for both teams, but I think there's going to be quite a bit of support for the Cowboys here in this game on the part of the general public. The total ticking up now to 41.5, and we mentioned it. The Lions 4.5. Tonight, which again, this will definitely be the highest handled game of the day, highest total as well, and it continues to go up another half point to 52.5. And we mentioned the Niners for tomorrow night.
Vinny,
here's your rundown.
We're gonna let you go back to work. All right?
I need to. I've got to get.
We'll let you go back to work.
So, and again, this card, folks, you still
got
have
40
time.
minutes.
$5.
40
Take
minutes.
a shot.
Yep.
Vinny, thank you as always.
Good job.
We're going to take a quick 1-minute break. We're going to get back. Alex and I dive into all these with all of our plays for a Sunday here on Sports by the Book.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day. Plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. Shout out to the chat. Donnie G watching live from here at the South Point. He's here. Let's go Colts from Donnie G, number 31. And Frank Nicotero, shocking. Steelers win 63-3. Thanks, Frank. That they really added a lot to the chat, Frank.
That sounds like a familiar score. Was that the Raiders-Chargers score last year? Is that where you got that?
I think the Chargers I think it was 63-14.
Okay.
I think that's what it was.
Sean says yes.
I see, Sean, I got you, buddy. All right, let's go through these. Let's start in Miami and Jacksonville. The Dolphins at home laying 3.5, as Vinny said. Total 49.5. Alex, Tyreek Hill was detained by Miami police for a moving violation, going legitimately less than a mile from the stadium. You could see Hard Rock Stadium in the view from the camera shots that people were taking. I bet Jacksonville. I liked them even before this. I have no idea Tyreek Hill was legitimately sitting on the sidewalk in handcuffs for about 20 minutes this morning. So that could work a lot of different ways. But I like Jacksonville plus the 3.5. A big advantage Miami usually has, they do not have here. Early season humidity in Florida is horrible. Jacksonville's been in all summer as well. Not a big advantage like usual. I'll take the points with the Jags.
I'm just going to start off by saying tread lightly. I am not betting my normal unit size that I would be for college football and stuff. Week 1 of the NFL, a lot can happen. But with that being said, I do like this game over. I went over 49. I do think what you're saying, we still have McDonald, who has a whole preseason to prep for this game against the Jags. We saw the Dolphins last year at home, and they averaged 41.9 points a game at home. I think they'll be ready for this one. I also believe that the Jags offense is going to get going. So we also have Ramsey questionable for the Dolphins.
He's in.
He is in?
He's in.
Okay. So we'll see if he is limited in that, but I just think we're going to get a lot of points in this one. Not betting a lot of overs today, and I know the first 2 games of the season, Thursday and Friday, both went over, but those we had 4 of the best quarterbacks, very good offenses, and this one we do have some veteran quarterbacks between these two as well, so over's the play for me.
Over for Alex, Jacksonville plus 3.5 on my end for this one in South Beach. Pittsburgh goes to Atlanta. Kirk Cousins makes his first Falcons start. We expected to see Russell Wilson make his first Steelers start. Not so fast, my friends. He's out. That hamstring injury takes him out for today. And the rookie Roman Wilson out of Michigan also will miss for Pittsburgh. I almost said Seattle there, going back in the time machine. Falcons up to 4. Behind us was as low as 3. Now up the ladder to 4 with a total of 42.5, Alex White.
I'm leaning to the under here, especially that it is moving up. I thought it would go down with the news of no Russell Wilson, and probably going to be more of a run game here for the Steelers. I lean to the points, too. I think this is going to be a great game between them. A lot of question marks, a lot of new things happening here in the quarterback position for both teams, of course, with Kirk Cousins. And on the other side, just talking about the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, road unders have been outstanding in his career, 80, 56, and 1. So it's a strong lean to the under for this game.
Strong lean to the under for Alex. This feels like a game that Atlanta dominates and Pittsburgh finds a way to pull the upset outright. I took the 4 with Pittsburgh once it moved up there. I just think it's too many points. And I'm not so certain there's any difference between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. I don't think the market's right in that. I think they're the exact same, maybe even a half point to Fields over Wilson at this point of what Russ is. So I'll very happily, with the market moving against Pittsburgh and really no difference at quarterback for me, very happy to take the 4 points. And if Atlanta beats me, you know what? The Falcons might be pretty good this year if they come out and look impressive in week 1. Of course, new head coach as well in Raheem Morris. For a game that's not as attractive as the first 2 games we've talked about, the Minnesota Vikings go to MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Football Giants. Alex, this has been a favorite flip from the summer. Giants up a 1-point favorites. Now Minnesota's a 1-point favorite in this game. A total of 41.5. Of course, you are now part of the Sam Darnold hive, Alex White. Darnold back in the stadium that he started for 3 years with the New York Jets. And a big year for Daniel Jones coming up of his future as an NFL starting quarterback. I found nothing of interest in this game. The only thing I will say is I thought the Giants being favored in this game was more correct than what the line is right now, but I'm not strong enough to bet the New York Giants because, quite frankly, Minnesota's roster is better than the Giants going into this season.
I was strong enough to bet the Giants. I took them
You
on
were?
the money
Okay.
line, yes. And
Okay.
I hope I don't get kicked out of the Sam Darnold Hive. But in this game, you kind of alluded to, they are very close in their rosters. I just think the Giants have a better defense
Okay.
that can help them hang in this game. And then, of course, we have Dable, who is going to start calling the plays on offense, which could be a huge change for this offense. So I'm going Giants money line in this one.
Look, no issue with that whatsoever. This was when this game was when the schedule was released, big giant X through it because I knew I was going to want nothing to do with it. Plus, I didn't know if J.J. McCarthy was going to start this game for Minnesota. Of course, the injury to McCarthy, his torn meniscus that has him out for the year, made it simplistic that we knew it was going to be the New York Giants, Sam Darnold for the Minnesota Vikings. But you're on the Giants here today, and I know you're not alone. There are a few people that I including you, that I know are sharp that like the Giants here today. I just can't get there.
And when we did our preview, yes, skill position-wise, Vikings definitely have the advantage here. So, that's pretty evident with Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers. But just a good spot, I think, at home. Pretty much a coin flip between these two. So I'm going with the home team and the plus money.
By the way, one other bet I forgot to mention on a game earlier. I just want to bring this up. I took Brian Thomas in Jacksonville, plus 325 anytime touchdown.
Okay.
We'll be mixing in some anytime touchdowns and some props if we happen to have them through the year. I know this week is a little bit lighter because we're all getting used to it, but we'll have those through the year as well. As Vinny mentioned it's been Carolina behind us here at the South Point from 5 to 3.5 on this game with New Orleans laying it at home. I know New Orleans is going to be a popular survivor pick today. Total's 41.5, which is actually up from what it opened at 40. Alex, I'll give you the floor first. Is there anything you're looking at here in the Superdome with the Saints and the Panthers?
So I know one group, I actually think it's Right Ankle Sports. They liked this game over. They gave that out, and that did move that number up to 41.5. I think that number is too high. So I do like the under in this game, especially at 41.5. Just looking at these two teams, if you look at the Saints, they've started slow last year with Derek Carr, averaged just 17 points a game in the first 4. And then defensively throughout the year, held teams to 19.2. Carolina, we know they couldn't score last year, averaged 14 points a game, league low. Tied there with the Patriots. And then on the flip side, that defense was very unlucky because they were third best in yards allowed per game, and they were like 30th in points allowed. So when you don't have a great offense, you're put in bad situations. Turnovers can, cause that. But I think it'll flip around here. I think that defense is good enough to hold them in this game. And I'm with the others that think we're going to see a tick up for the Panthers this year. So I think this will be a competitive division game.
This is a make or break year in year 2 for Bryce Young, who was by any stretch awful last year in his rookie year. And it looked even worse because of how great CJ Stroud was. Obviously, Stroud, one pick behind him, goes to Houston, and the Texans win the division and win a playoff game last year. Dave Canales, the new head coach, did amazing things with Baker Mayfield last year. It was Baker's second best season of his career. Only 2020 was better. And Mayfield parlayed it into a nice contract to be in Tampa now for we expect a few years. I just am curious to see how he does with Bryce Young. There has to be an improvement because if there's not, then Bryce Young is heading to the Jamarcus Russell territory, but without the off-field issues. So I have no play in this game. I still have Carolina rated fairly low in the NFL just because even with their additions, they're still probably still in the bottom 5 of the league. But if Bryce Young pops up, look, this division is still weak, still the weakest in the NFL. Crazier things have happened from worst to first, as we know, throughout the history of this league, Alex.
Should just bring up on the flip side with the Saints, they do have a high ceiling. We've seen the lows and the highs from this New Orleans teams, and Derek Carr is coming off one of his better years, definitely improved in his passing completions in New Orleans compared to when he had his last few years here in Las Vegas for the Raiders. So, that's a team to watch out for. We don't know, and Dennis Allen hasn't had the greatest track record as a head coach. He does have a nice under trend, too, that I liked, and it was 22-12 to the under since being at New Orleans.
Dennis Allen, 7-15-1 against the spread as a favorite in his career with the Raiders and the Saints. So Not good as a favorite, to say the very least, Alex. Let's go to the biggest line of the day. Vinny mentioned it. South Point has the highest number here in Vegas. It's 8 on Cincinnati and New England. Total of 41. Alex, I will say, for the contests, I thought New England actually was a reasonable side here with all the injury concerns on the on the Cincinnati side, especially with the fact that Jamar Chase he will play, but has had all that noise this offseason with not getting a new contract. He wants to get paid $1 more than Justin Jarrett, all the nonsense. T. Higgins is officially out for the Cincinnati Bengals, which we figured was going to be the case. I would only bet New England at 8. That would be the only way I would look to play it. Cincinnati only has won once in the first 4 years of Joe Burrow's playing career, 2-2 against the number. But I would only look to to New England to cover this game in Cincinnati, getting 8 points. Don't know if I'd go much lower than that, though.
I'm with you. And looking at it from a contest perspective, I agree. I did take the Patriots plus the points. In a contest, I have not bet it, but I stayed away from the Bengals here for Survivor as well because I know it is going to be the most popular pick. And I understand that. They're an 8-point favorite here over a Patriots team that has really struggled. And now we have a new head coach there. But I think it's just too many points for them. The Patriots do have a good defense, and the Bengals have a lot to turn around as well. High expectations. Having Joe Burrow there healthy will definitely help, but 8 points is a lot of points in the NFL.
I am 100% in agreement on that last part. 8 points in the National Football League in a day where there is only one game north of 7. This is it. It's a lot of and we're going to start seeing lines. I think we're not going to see a lot of double digits this year. I really don't think we're going to see a ton of double digits. We will see it, of course we will. But if this is anything to tell of what this season's going to be, 8 as the biggest number, tight. Very compact here in the National Football League, as always. For
a team who we know they did go through it. They had a lot of injuries, but this isn't even a team that made it into the playoffs to be an 8-point favorite here. So it is very interesting. But that just tells you how bad New England was last year.
Let's go to the battle of the number 1 overall pick and a man making his first opening day start in Chicago. Caleb Williams, debut for the Bears. Boy, Bear fans are ready for this. Will Levis makes his first opening day start. Of course, didn't play until midseason a year ago for Tennessee. Brian Callahan, the new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Calvin Ridley comes over. L'Jarius Sneed comes over. Bears, of course, on top of Caleb Williams, add Roma Dunze to their offense that, quite frankly, I think should be quite good if Caleb Williams ends up being good. Alex, I actually did something I normally don't do in this game.
What did you do?
I did a same game parlay.
Wow.
I bet both quarterbacks to throw an interception. Now, Levis, as we know, as our friend Ed Fang told us earlier in the week, a guy that threw a lot of balls into traffic, bad ball rate very high, fortunate interception-wise. I think Levis is going to lead the NFL in interceptions if he plays the whole season this year. And for Caleb Williams, rookies always, for the most part, struggle in their first games. For number 1 overall picks, it's been madness how bad it's been. A number 1 overall pick has not won on opening day of their rookie year since 2002, Alex White. That was David Carr.
That's right.
Against the Dallas Cowboys in the inaugural game for the Houston Texans. So we're talking over 20 years ago. There's only been one other cover, including Carr's, for a number 1 overall pick that started opening week, usually because the teams are awful that they're going to. Bears team's not as awful as a normal team picking number 1 because of the Bryce Young trade. With that said, I bet those 2 quarterbacks parlayed. I have to double check the price. I think I got plus 138. It was not as good of a price as I would have hoped, but I do think it's good. And with that said, I do like Tennessee plus the points, though. I think this is a tight game, and it probably leans to the under as well.
I like that bet a lot. I might have to look and see if I can get that in as well. But I thought you were going to say same game teaser, so that really did catch me off guard. But when
I can't remember the last time I did that, Alex.
Oh, it's Super Bowl. All of us were doing the same game
yes.
teaser. But
yeah.
So I'm with you. I like the Titans plus 4. I'm trying not to jump in too much. There is a lot of rookies starting, so just blindly fading them is going to make it a little bit tough. But this is a different situation. I mean, they are laying points here in his first game. I think there's some value. I do like the upgrades You mentioned all the wide receivers, and then they have Tony Pollard on the ground. So I think Tennessee's going to be okay. But when Ed said that about Will Levis, I mean, anybody who watched football last year could clearly see that that was the case with him throwing the ball in dangerous situations. So it'll be tough. But I like that both quarterbacks to throw an interception or even just pick which one between these two. And I do like the points here with the Titans.
Yeah, they're both big prices at the moment. They're both north of minus 145 to throw a pick in this game. So you could do them both. You can put them together. Again, my price was plus 168. Still, again, I wish I was getting a little bit more, but some books here in town don't give you a fair price. Let's just go with that. All right, let's go with the Bills and the Cardinals. Alex, this is the complete opposite of what we've been accustomed to over the last few years with Buffalo. They're power rated. This is the lowest power rating they've had since 2019 going into a season. They have been up near the top of the league the last 4 years. Let's be honest with ourselves, underachieved in those 4 years because they haven't even been to the Super Bowl, forget winning one. They just can't get by Kansas City. Here you go today against an Arizona team that, again, I think they're fine. I think they're pretty pedestrian. 5-12, 6-11 team. Nothing spectacular. I actually think the Bills are too short in this game. Are not long enough in this game. Sorry, I said that wrong. I think this should be 7.5. I think this should be on the other side of 7. With that said, is it strong enough for me to play it? Probably not. Josh Allen's another guy I would look to bet an interception. I haven't looked at the price yet for Kyler Murray, but this may not be a bad option as another one if you go put them together and play the two quarterbacks to throw an interception in this game.
I'm leaning to the over here with these offenses, and the Bills continue to have injuries again on the defensive side, which it's going to be tough for them to overcome. But with Josh Allen, you always have a chance in that game. And I know he doesn't have as many weapons or as well known of weapons. We do have some rookies there now for his wide receiver core, but he does still have two really good tight ends in Buffalo. So I think we're going to see some points there. A lot of people are very high on Kyler Murray. Of course, he's got Marvin Harris and some other weapons for him offensively. So I know we're trying to stay away from favorites and overs, but this is another one that I do like the over in this game.
I have no problem with that. Again, Buffalo, you mentioned with Buffalo's defense, Matt Milano's the guy. He's going to be out till December with another significant injury, back-to-back years where Milano's going to miss significant time. And we saw last year Buffalo's defense really fell off.
Yes.
They got used to not playing with Milano, but Milano's their best player on the defensive side of the ball, and they're most important. He's the defensive play caller on the field as well. I just am in the camp here with Buffalo. I do think they're making the playoffs. I don't think they're a Super Bowl threat this year going into the year. I think they're a solid playoff team. And unless if Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL this year, which, you know what, as much as I've got on Josh Allen in the past of being overvalued, he is capable of being the best quarterback in the NFL. And their wide receivers are so different this year.
Yes.
And I wonder if Keon Coleman, the rookie out of Florida State, gives him a totally different dimension than Allen has ever had. He's never really had a big-bodied wide receiver like Coleman. I wonder if that helps Josh Allen.
It's interesting. I think the Bills do better when they don't have these high expectations.
I 100% agree.
So it could turn out to work in their favor here. And yeah, Josh Allen maybe MVP year coming up. He's definitely going to have to do a lot more than he did in the past.
Let's go to the last game of the 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific slate. I teased it earlier. I do have a bet on Indianapolis and the Texans. Houston, a 3-point favorite at Indy with a total of 48.5. Alex, I like the Indianapolis Colts. I took the 3, and I took a little bit of a plus 143 last night on the money line. I'm not saying I'm not saying Indy's going to win a division this year. I'm not saying Houston's going to underachieve. I just think this is a really bad spot right out of the gate for the Texans, where it's a really difficult road game in division, revenge. From week 18 a year ago. And when Anthony Richardson played in that one game against Houston before he left with a concussion, Anthony Richardson was awesome for 2.5 quarters in that game against the Texans a year ago. So I think Indy very live to win this game outright. +3, I think, is a great bet. Worst case scenario, looking at a push, I think, on this one. And if Houston wins this game, the Texans are even better than I thought they would. I still have Houston winning the South, and I have Indy as a playoff team. So high-level matchup week 1 in the AFC South.
I'm with you. I would only bet the underdog here, especially at home. I forgot about that revenge factor. Definitely need to add that there as well. So, yeah, that's definitely leaning to the home team. I really am interested in watching this one and watching the Colts because when they did have Anthony Richardson for those first 4 games, their pace of play was even faster than it was throughout the year with Minshew. So I'm curious to see if that rolls over and they choose to play fast again, because then we got to start watching Indy, especially these first few weeks. Will be a great over team. Now they're matched up here against the Texans, who have only gotten better, especially offensively, than they were last year with all the pieces there. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work and they'll gel right away in week 1, but Colts plus 3 points or lean into the over as well.
I don't mind that over either. I don't think either of these defense. Well, I think Houston's defense by the end of the year will be good. I think it's going to take a little bit of time with the new additions. Of course, Danielle Hunter comes over from Minnesota. He replaces Jonathan Grenard, who actually kind of did a flip because Grenard's up in Minnesota now. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time for that Houston defense. And these are 2 great young head coaches. Ryans and Steichen,
Yep.
I think both capable of winning Coach of the Year. Ryans would have won it last year if Stefanski and the Browns didn't make the playoffs with 5 different quarterbacks and Joe Flacco off the couch last year. But they're both more than capable of winning Coach of the Year. All right, Sean, let's take a 1-minute break real quick here. We have the afternoon games and the 2 primetime games over the last 15 minutes or so here on Sports by the Book on a Sunday morning, getting you ready for week 1 in the NFL.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White alongside me. Sean, Drew Dog, awesome job as always in the corner. Those 2 guys work their behinds off here on these weekends, and we appreciate them a ton, making sure we're on the air. And especially if you're watching us behind here at the Sportsbook, Sean, look how jammed it is already. Jam-packed behind me in the Sportsbook, and we're on. If you're watching us there, thank you for making us a part of your Sunday morning here at Sports by the Book. There it is, already jammed. Actually, the line's not too bad right now. If you want to go get a bet in, not too bad. You got about 15 minutes to get your bets in before those early window games.
Could be a great season. It's nice to see that book so full again. Not that it wasn't on some regular weekdays for baseball, because it definitely does get full, but nothing like these Sundays on NFL Sundays.
Let's go to the game involving the team that's based out of Las Vegas. The Raiders go to the Chargers. You know it's going to be a Raider home game in L.A. More home games in L.A. for the Raiders than here, but that's a different discussion for a different time. The Chargers, 3-point favorites in this one. This was as high as 4, coming back down the ladder, 40.5 the total. Alex, there are a lot of 3 evens out there in this game at other shops. If this hits 2.5, this is an automatic on the Chargers for me. If this gets to below the 3, I don't quite understand why this has been so aggressive on the Raiders other than the Raiders defense. I guess people can make the argument the Raiders defense is the best unit in this game, and I think that would be a valid argument. But I think this is a monster coaching mismatch in favor of the Chargers with Harbaugh against Pierce. And Herbert is clearly the better quarterback in this game. Give me the better coach and the better quarterback. 2.5 automatic on the Chargers. Probably will have this as 3 as well as a play for me.
So you already named the top points that I wanted to get to with the coaching mismatch and the quarterback.
Okay.
There's another one.
Go for it.
The revenge factor. And that
yes.
score that we were just talking about to start off the show. But the fact that the Raiders ran up that score on the Chargers the last time they saw each other here at Allegiant, I think the Chargers are going to remember that and be ready for this division game to start off the season. So I'll be waiting for a 2.5 as well. I was looking at that 150 though. I'm going to look for a partner to potentially play Chargers money line and tie it up with somebody else. But the Chargers typically, last few years with Herbert, we saw them passing more than running. I think we're going to see that change with Harbaugh. So I don't mind this under as well, even though it is a very low total. But Raiders defense is very good. So I think this will be a lower scoring game. I have to pick the Chargers in this first one between these two.
This is going to go a long way to seeing how both of these teams' seasons go. I know I don't want to overreact to a week one game, but if either of these teams is going to be in playoff contention, this kind of feels like a game you got to get week one, especially as a field goal game. If this was here in Vegas, Raiders would probably be 1.5, 2. So, again, there's no home field. There really is no home field. There should be a 0 for the Chargers home field, maybe even a negative in this game. Jaden Daniels, Sean's guys, the Commanders. His first start as an NFL quarterback, the number 2 overall pick. And Washington and a new look Commanders squad under Dan Quinn, the new head coach. The Bucs, another year with Baker, another year with Bowles, and the Bucs are 3.5-point favorites, Alex, in this game with a total of 42.5, as high as 4 in the market available right now.
I'm sorry, Sean, I have to do it, but this is one favorite that I really like. I think Tampa Bay is being disrespected. I think that 3.5 is fine if you want to just play them on the money line, looking for somebody else to tie the Chargers with. But Tampa Bay won the division last year, made it into the playoffs, was very good on both sides of the ball, and Todd Boyles has a lot to do with that, and he's very good against these young rookie new quarterbacks. So I think Tampa's going to be just fine. There is a weather factor that we do need to check. I think it's just rain from what I have heard.
Alex, it's Florida in technically still the summertime. So we know a thunderstorm in the midday is always in play. There is no wind.
Okay.
You are correct. Only 5-mile-an-hour winds expected in Tampa, and it's a coin flip if it'll rain or not. So might get lucky down there in Tampa Bay.
So, yeah, I like the home team here. I do think, I have high hopes for the Commanders and Jaden Daniels there. I do think they will improve. It's just, their defense is really no good, and especially in the secondary. So I like the Bucs in this one.
I crossed this game off initially, but I will say when it got to 4, I thought long and hard about taking the 4, but I just couldn't quite get there. I think this Washington team, this may be a slow start for them. But by the middle of the season, when they're fully acclimated to this new coaching staff with Quinn, with Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator, this team has the potential to be one of those teams that starts like 1-5. And then we look up in the middle of December and they're 5-7. And it's like, oh, this has been a nice little improvement for a team that's not a pushover anymore. I'm not saying they're a playoff team. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that by the end of the year, they're more than capable of at least making things difficult for those teams trying to get NFC playoff bids, especially in the NFC East. How about another rookie quarterback, Alex White? You ready for another one?
I'm ready.
Bo Nix, NFL debut for the Oregon and Auburn product. Oh, he's also named the captain. I don't know why everyone, especially like in regular traditional sports media, is just loving this Bronco team. I don't get it. And here in this week 1 game, it's 6 behind us. There's a bunch of 6.5 in the market with Seattle at home favored against these Broncos, up from 5 in the summer. Totals moved up a point from 41 to 42. Alex Survivor, I took Seattle. I took the Seahawks. Even with a new head coach, Mike McDonald, former Raven coordinator on the defensive side, new look with the former Washington Husky offensive coordinator as your new offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb. But when it's all said and done, I just think the Seahawks are much better roster-wise than this Denver team. And Geno Smith, we've underrated him the last few years. Geno Smith's a bona fide top 13 NFL quarterback at this rate. And Bo Nix is making his first NFL start. I'd only lean Seattle. But if you want to throw the Hawks in a money line parlay with someone else, find a dance partner, be my guest. I think that's a good side there.
So, kind of kidding, but kind of serious. Are we undervaluing Bo Nix? Have you seen Oregon the first 2 games?
Well, it's interesting from that perspective. It's just such a difference from the college game and the program. We all know that. So I think it's funny you mentioned that. I think we overrated Dylan Gabriel. I think that's the bigger issue more so than anything on Oregon. Don't worry, through the week, I know you and your dad will talk about that tomorrow. Kenny White on the show. I know I'll talk about it as well with my new college football power ratings at 3. But I don't know. I don't. It's an NFL rookie. It is an unknown factor, but I just think Seattle's so much better than Denver, Alex.
I do too. But for your sake and everybody else who is a Seahawks fan, I did not bet this, but I do really like the Seahawks. Last year in week 1, that was my favorite, and they got upset. So I'm not going to bet it. I'm just going to watch this. I like the Seahawks. I like them for the year. I did take over 7.5 for their win total. Kind of like you're saying, Geno Smith, I think he's underrated. I like the new coaching hire here at McDonald's. Of course, I'm a Ravens supporter. I don't want to say fan. I do like the Ravens, and I like what he did with the Ravens and their defense. I think that's the part of this team in Seattle that needed the biggest improvement. So we are going to see an uptick there. It wasn't their offense. Offense last year, top 10 in EPA per play, and they have a great wide receiving trio there. Even if Lockett is questionable, they have 2 other really good guys there. So, yeah, it would be Seahawks or nothing for me, but I did not bet this game.
See, again, Seattle money line with someone else in a money line parlay would be the best way to play this. 6 is a lot. 6 is a lot of points, as we've discussed earlier in the show. Now, here's one that's been very interesting to me the whole summer. Cleveland hosts Dallas. So there's no cloud over Dallas anymore with Dak Prescott. That contract signed, confirmed this morning, $231 million guaranteed for Dak, $240 over 4 years, $60 million for Prescott. Him and CeeDee Lamb, $94 million combined a year now for the Dallas Cowboys. And when Micah Parsons get paid, you're going to have 3 players probably north of $135 million for Dallas. Good luck building that roster out. But Alex, I'm a little surprised at how this has gone. Dallas opened 1. Now it's Cleveland 2, back from 2.5 yesterday. And there's a lot of sharp action on Cleveland. A lot of Sharpies are on Cleveland here. And I'm sitting here and I'm a little bit confused. The only thing I can think of is that Cleveland's defense was so dominant at home a year ago. That is just an expectation of doing it again in 2024.
That's exactly where I'm at. I think that's where this money is coming from. I like the Cowboys in this spot. You're giving me 2 points with an elite offense here. I liked it more before the signing or the extension for Dak Prescott because then he really had some fire under him. But I still think it's a good play. Our good friend Lou Finicaro, he was on with me on Friday. He liked it too. He says, be careful because the bookmakers are really good at their jobs.
They are.
They opened Dallas as a favorite, and now you're getting 2 points here with them. I mean, I was talking about their offense. They led the league last year in 30.1 points per game. I know we have some switches here. No Tony Pollard. We do have Zeke back, but I still think that they will be able to put up points here, even though this is an elite defense too with the Browns. But Dallas had an elite defense up until the playoffs as well. So I like the dog.
You and I agree. This would only be an underdog. I would just take the money line. I'd forego the points, take a plus price, try to improve the ROI there, Alex. I know they're on your card. They're on my card as well. But that would be the only way I would look to play this one. And hey, look, I know there'll be a lot of eyes on this game because Tom Brady's making his booth debut for Fox as well. I don't know how he's going to do his job with all those restrictions, but hey, we'll find out.
If the Browns win and, the sharp money is correct, so be it. And that must mean it's a better Deshaun Watson, which we would all like to see
100% Alex White.
as well.
Yeah, that is it took us too long to mention Deshaun between the two of us. But I think Deshaun Watson is washed. But if even 60% of the Houston version of Deshaun Watson shows up this year for Cleveland, the Browns have a shot to win the AFC North and maybe even make a run in the playoffs because that roster is very, very talented around him. All right, the Sunday night we go. The Rams and the Lions. Alex, the Rams have to replace our first ballot Hall of Famer Aaron Donald, who, of course, retired in the offseason. Matthew Stafford is fully healthy going into the year, and his 2 big wide receivers, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, are healthy going into this game. That's the good news for the Rams. The bad news is they're playing the team that I think is the best team in the NFC going into the year, in the Detroit Lions, with a vastly improved defense from a year ago. DJ Reader comes over. They draft 2 rookies in that secondary. Arnold and Rakestraw are going to be big impacts right away. Their offense is still loaded. Goff, we know how good he is indoors. 4.5 in this game, Alex, up from as low as 3.5, and the total highest of the day now at 53. And quite frankly, I don't think we're done moving up on that total since this is the last game of the night.
I love the Lions in this spot.
You do?
And this
Okay.
is the opposite of my normal because this is a definite revenge spot for the Rams in the playoffs. But their roster is better. You just brought up a lot of points. And then there's some question marks on the defensive side for the Rams, especially no Donald. And then their secondary. There's a few cornerbacks who are questionable. I don't know if Williams is going to be playing, but he's definitely one of their best cornerbacks. So that'll just leave it wide open for Jared Goff and company indoors, like you said. So even adding the revenge factor in there, I still think you're okay laying 4.5 with this Lions team.
I like the Rams going into this year. I still think they're a playoff caliber team, but this is not the night for them. I'm staying off of this completely. Maybe the Lions are the dance partner with the Seahawks in that money line parlay. I do like Detroit to win this game. And Alex, I have the Lions in the Super Bowl out of the NFC. They are that good. The only concern I have, does Jared Goff at some point regress? Do we get Jared Goff regression like we did in L.A.?
Not with Dan Campbell in his corner.
I don't know. Look, as long as
it's capable. It's possible. But
as long as Ben Johnson's still there, I don't know if that regression is coming. Whenever Ben Johnson takes a head coaching job, whenever that may be, we'll find out. I think that's when we'll really find out with Jared Goff. But for this year, the Lions, to me, are the best team in the NFC. I had them with the 1 seed, and especially with Jordan Love looking like he's going to miss a month, Green Bay becomes significantly less of a threat in that NFC North, especially if they have to start Sean Clifford or Malik Willis for 4 weeks. Yikes. They did what the Jets did last year. Speaking of the Jets, real quick here, we're going to have full breakdowns tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow's schedule. We have 2 shows here on Sports by the Book. At 9 a.m., Alex White, Kenny Light, Family Matters. Get you ready for the day in sports all across the board. And we'll also look back at what happened this weekend, a very fun weekend across college and the NFL. Hey, 28.5 point underdogs don't win every day in college, and they did yesterday in South Bend with Northern Illinois. And then I'm back tomorrow at 3 to get you fully ready for this, and we'll also have power rankings and more, and 2 great guests on that 3 o'clock show, and Vinny Magliulo and Matt Hamilton on Sports by the Book Football Frenzy at 3. Alex, my early thoughts here. We'll give them all out tomorrow. We're at 4 on the Niners against the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers returns. These are the 2 most talented rosters in football to me, if we're just going off talent, even though I have the Lions as the best overall team when you put everything together. With that said, I think those 4 with the Jets is quite good. I think this is going to be a really, really low-scoring game. I think these defenses are number 1 and number 2 in the NFL. That total's been hit already. I wouldn't go much lower than what it's at right now, Alex. I think that's the low at 43.5.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? Really good defenses, and then you got to be careful, though, because they are loaded offensively. And if both quarterbacks, Brock Purdy and Aaron Rodgers, play up to their standards, then it'll be tough. But I definitely lean to the under. Niners also play really slow. They were the slowest last year, about 30 seconds per play. That was slowest in the league. I'm on the other side, though. I haven't bet it, but looking at the spread, I think 4 is a really cheap, low number here for this loaded San Francisco team at home. So I'm leaning the other way with the Niners.
Niners 4. I'd be curious to see if this ends up getting to 3.5 at some point, which I know would excite you a lot more than 4 if it happens to go that way. All right. We did it. Those are all the games here today. Just a refresh real quick. The bets that I do like right now, the Jags plus 3.5, the Colts plus 3, the Steelers plus 4, that interceptions parlay, both Caleb Williams and Will Levis over half of an interception. I actually got plus 185. Sorry for giving the incorrect number a little bit earlier. And then Brian Thomas plus 325 anytime touchdown as well for me.
And for me today, I do like the over in the Jags and the Dolphins. I like the New York Giants on the money line, under in the Panthers and the Saints. Get that 41.5. And then I like Tampa Bay minus 3.5. And the Lions today for me.
There we go. Those are the plays here for the first Sunday of the National Football League season. We're back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Alex White, Kenny White. Start your day off right with Sports by the Book at 9, and then get yourself ready for Monday Night Football. Sports by the Book, Football Frenzy. Myself, Vinny Magliulo, and Matt Hamilton joining the program at 3 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow afternoon right here on the channel. Alex, good luck.
Yes, you too.
You and I both need it today because week 1's always difficult in the National Football League. Sean, Drew Dog, You guys are awesome. Thank you as always. Vinny, thank you for joining us. Good luck on all your plays, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. here on Sports by the Book.